Figure it out.
Hello, this is Adam Koralik with Figure It Out Productions. The following video is part of our Quick Shoot series.
Hey guys, I just picked up my first Atari 7800. I have never had one of these things. This is not a system review, but I will give you a little bit of a brief history just because this is a far less common system. This will primarily be about cleaning one of these things. But like I said, brief history. When most people think of Atari, they think of the Atari 2600. You know, the system that infamously played E.T. and Combat and other games and so on. This is not that system. That was Atari's first system. This is actually their third system. There was one in between called the 5200. I do not own that thing. It has what is generally considered the single worst controller of all time. Believe it or not, what you're looking at right here is actually an improvement. Not a very big improvement, but an improvement nonetheless. This system would be technically comparable to the NES or the Sega Master System, just a little bit weaker, especially in the sound. The sound is exactly the same as an Atari 2600. The cartridges look like this. They look almost identical, if not identical to Atari 2600 cartridges. The bottom is where you would notice the difference. These extra pins on the side, I don't even know if you can see that. Do you see how there's like little gaps in between? That center board is very similar to Atari 2600 boards. The sides are the extra pins that I guess make it a 7800. I don't know the technical specs, but that was what I noticed. The system is fully backwards compatible with Atari 2600 games. It is not compatible with 5200 games, which is kind of a shame, but that is just the way it was done. It came with its original manual, that game with its manual, and a poster. This is actually a pretty sweet poster, and of course it says that the system is the choice of the experts. I don't know a single expert that decided that this system was a better idea than the NES or the Master System. And interestingly, it shows pictures of the European controllers, which were very similar to NES controllers or Master System controllers, and then for some stupid reason that I can't possibly fathom, in North America they decided no, we want to stick with that 5200 controller type of design. That was a real big hit there. So let's go with that. I don't know. They use basically like a Sega Genesis type of port. Although I tried actually using a Sega Genesis controller on this thing, and I could get the D-pad to work, but none of the buttons did anything. So maybe I have to work on that some more, but I don't know. But anyway, so like I said, the system totally works. It's just dirty, and I want to clean it up. I've never opened one of these things up, but we're just going to go on a journey together and try to clean this thing out. As you can see, there's a bunch of dust in the controller port, or the game cartridge port, and in general, it just has like dirtiness, and obviously, it's not very new looking. I mean, it is like 30 years old. Came out in like 1986, I think. And then on the back, there's just some scuffs and stuff. And so yeah, like I said, I just want to clean this up. So to start, what you're going to need is a standard Phillips screwdriver. And it looks like there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screw ports in the back. So just go ahead and remove those, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so I got the screws out over there, and then I'm guessing, yeah, okay, it just kind of pops off like that, and that's the underside. A little bit, it's kind of got some dust in there. I could just rinse that out and clean that up, that's no problem. And then, here we go, we look at the actual system. There's a lot of dust and just crap from the 80s in there. That's at least my guess. So I'm going to go ahead and take out the system board, which I think, I don't see any screws anywhere, so maybe it just like comes out. Alright, let's pull on that. Oh, well, let's push back on this RF port thing. Okay, that lifts up, and maybe if I just kind of pull on this. Okay, yeah, alright, there we go. The system board just kind of pops out, and I'm going to have to get in there with like Windex and Q-tips, or Q-tips and Windex, sorry, or as apparently in the UK, it's window lean. If you have always heard me talk about Windex and you didn't know what the hell it was, apparently in the UK it's window lean, so maybe that'll help you. Some of you, at least you in the UK. Yeah, I'll probably clean this up with just like little bit of spot checks. Ugh. A lot of dust and stuff there. But anyway, onto the bottom part. Oh yes, lots of crap from the 80s and 90s, and looks like there's leaves or something. Oh yeah, that is definitely from a tree. I don't know how the hell it got in there. But anyway, so I'm going to clean these up. And to do that, I'm just going to take the plastic parts, just these two parts, obviously not the system board, and I'm just going to run them under water and just, let them sit out and dry. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, while the plastic case is dry, I want to go ahead and clean up the system board a bit. Now, when I first look at it, the biggest problem is that the cartridge slot area is just very, very dirty. So I think for that, I'm going to do kind of a two-prong attack. First thing I'm going to do is take compressed air, and I'm just going to blow it around in there. And the same goes for underneath the board. Just going to do that. And I don't know how well the camera is picking it up, but there are little plumes of dust flying around everywhere. Just kind of do that all around the system board, on the front there on the controllers, and just around. This is easier to do without a camera right here. And then when it comes to certain spots, specifically on plastic, you want to take a Q-tip and take some Windex or Windoline, and then just kind of spray some on the end like that, and then just kind of go ahead specifically to plastic and just kind of rub it along and just kind of get some of that dirt and grime off there. And then after, see some of it's just coming right off. It's hard to do this really, really well with the camera right here, but you get the idea. Crap will come off, and then dry it on the other end. And that's generally what I would say to clean these things up, is what you should do. So I'm going to go ahead and then do that now, and then I'll show you the results. Okay, so I went ahead and I cleaned it up. This was disgusting. This was all inside the cartridge slot, and I don't even know what this disgusting shit is, but it was in there too. And bear in mind, this isn't even inside the contacts. This is just in the plastic. I also went ahead and just cleaned dirt and dust out of the controller ports and on the front. Just gave it like a really basic cleaning all around on the back as well. The back was pretty gross. And back here inside these plates, even though I don't really think cleaning them would do much, but I did it anyway. I also put a lot of compressed air inside to try and get a lot of just dust out of there. I'm going to do it again once it dries a little bit and get the rest of the dust out of there, or at least as much as I can. But one other thing you're going to want to try to do is clean the contacts inside there. Now, unfortunately, this is a huge bitch because of the basically really custom design of the cartridge slot. Typically, I would advise, for most systems, the credit card method, which is where you take a credit card, you wrap it in felt cloth, and you kind of stick it in. You can kind of do that, but you may need to get a cartridge cleaning kit, something more specific. This is what I use, just because it's actually designed for this purpose. I do this with all of my systems when I want to clean the cartridge slot. This one even says right on the box it's compatible with Atari 2600 and 7800, and so I was like, oh wow, that's awesome, because I have the thing already. So it's like, great, this will solve my problem. Then I went ahead and I started looking at all the little pieces, and I'm like, none of these fit in there. What is it talking about? And I actually went to the trouble of looking at the instructions, and then it shows you all the pieces that it comes with, and it says which one's for which, and then it says that A is designed for the, it can be used on the Super Nintendo, the Sega Genesis, Sega Master System, TurboGrafx 16, and Atari 2600/7800. I'm sorry, I know that's really out of focus. Atari 7800. It says it right there. This is its picture of A. That's all of them. This is freaking A. Which means it should be the biggest one in this box, right? Here we go. That would be this one. In what world does this fit? Look at, look at that, plastic tabs right there that will prevent it from going in. Even if those tabs weren't there, it still wouldn't fit. So I don't know what the hell they were thinking by claiming that this would work. But what I do have is this really small little one, and I'm going to be able to clean the primary contacts with this. Although the outside contacts, I'm going to have to get a little more creative. I don't really know what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll just kind of stick it in and just kind of hope for the best. But anyway, so what you're going to want to do when you're cleaning it is you're going to want to take Windex here, and you're going to want to put a little bit on, just like that, and then I will rub it there, rub it on the other side, like that. And then I'm just going to go ahead and put them inside the cartridge slot, and just kind of rub the pins a little, gently, of course, and that should get some excess dirt and dust out of there. There's a little bit that's coming off on my finger. There really isn't much in there, surprisingly. But I'm going to go ahead and do this a few times and just try to get it as clean as I can. Alright, so once you've cleaned out the cartridge slot in the manner I just showed you, you're also going to want to make sure you dry it. So once you'll have to dry those little pieces and then put them back in. Alternatively, and probably better, you can take compressed air and just blow it in there and just make sure all the moisture's out of there. But Windex, at least in small amounts, won't harm anything. If anything, it's supposed to clean it, and it generally does. So hopefully that's improved. I should remind everybody, this thing was not broken. I was just cleaning it. I'm just making it better. It did work. So if it doesn't work anymore, that's on me. We'll find out when I put it back together. But so I just wanted to show you the general progress here. I'll get this out of here. The bottom, as you can see here, it's still very wet at this point in time, but much cleaner than it was. There's no leaves and shit in there. The top, also better, a lot less dusty. Cartridge area improved massively. I should also note that I got the buttons out of there. That's pretty easy, as you can see, just taking a look at one of them. They have these little clips on the side, so when it's in, here, I'll just put it in real quick so I can show you how to take it out. You just pop it in right like that. So on the bottom, you'll see right there, they have two little white pieces on the outside. So I find that you just kind of prop them in with a fingernail, and each side. This is easier to do when I don't have a camera right there. Okay, so they pushed them back a little bit, and then you just push the centerpiece, and the thing will come right out. So it's better to clean those two separately. They'll also dry separately, and then you can clean the little port areas, which is always a good idea. And of course you want them to dry separately as well. So now I'm just going to play the waiting game. I'll sit here and wait until all of it is completely and totally dry. You don't want to put it back together with any moisture in there. You can obviously speed that along by rubbing it with a towel or whatever and dry it off. I'll probably do that a bit. And then I'm going to go ahead once it's dry and I'm going to put it back together. Okay, so once they're dry, one thing you're going to want to do is going to take a look around on the system and see if there's any scuffs. In this case, mine has a few on the back, just like random little dirt marks that didn't come off from just a basic washing. I don't know how well, yeah, you can see there like the little white mark and stuff, and there's another one over there. You can take a look at the lid and see if there's anything there. In this case, it's there's nothing really like that. Usually I put the system back together before I deal with this, but I've decided for this system I'm going to deal with this before I put it back together. So I'm going to try and get rid of these white marks on there. And in order to do that, I use Mr. Clean's Magic Eraser, which is pretty much magic. It gets out like any stain you can think of. I don't know. I don't even know how they do this. It is magic. But be careful, because this thing will not only take off stuff like this, but it will also take off things like logos. So just be very, very careful when you're using this kind of thing, because it's serious. So what you're going to do is just take like a clump of it and just kind of wipe it along the area that's damaged in any way. There you go. I wipe it away, and look, nothing. It's completely obliterated. Granted, there's dust there, but that'll come off easily. Now I'll work on this other part. And just because of well, I'm going to do this off camera because of how small that area is, but you get the idea. So go ahead and look for white marks, or just multicolored marks, or whatever happened that is not supposed to be there, and get them out that way. Okay, I finished doing that, and as you can see, all the little scuffs in the back are just completely obliterated, and it looks pretty good. So now, assuming your system is completely dry, as this one is, it's time to put it back together. And I would suggest starting with those 4 buttons right there. I kept them in the right order: power, pause, select, reset. Just power, pause, select, reset. I don't know, seemed obvious to me. So just go ahead and grab one, in this case power, find the hole, pop it in, and there you go. Go ahead and repeat that process. And on the other end, take this board, and this just slides right into the system. And you may have to press down a little bit, probably on the RF point. But yeah, once you get it kind of like, I'd say on the RF part and on this part back here, and you'll just kind of pop it right back into place, and I'll do that off camera. And then I'm just going to go ahead and screw it back together, and I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, we have it back together now. And just a reminder, or tip I should say, when you're putting it back together, be careful of these buttons. I mean, each one of them has a little spring on it, and the spring yearns to be free of the plastic, and you could easily lose one if you don't do it correctly. So just be aware of that. And that reminds me, I forgot to mention this earlier when I was trying to test it. The power switch wasn't quite working. Sometimes I would turn it on with a game on or a game in it, and it wouldn't do anything. It wouldn't light up, and then at other times it would turn on, and I would try to turn it off, and it wouldn't really turn off. It was just a little bit stuck. But since I cleaned it, I'm assuming, or at least I'm hoping, that's better. But I guess we'll find that out in a bit. But before we do that, we take a look at it, and I think the system looks pretty damn good, don't you? But I think we can make it look a little bit better. And we're going to make it shinier, I think. And I used to use WD-40 for this kind of thing, as I think I've mentioned quite a few times now. But I've also mentioned quite a few times now that we use Pledge. I'm using Pledge, and to do this, basically all you're going to do is take a paper towel, spray some Pledge on there, and just wipe it around like this. And that'll bring out a nice little shiny coat onto the system. And I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to do it all over the sides and on the bottom, and of course, and more thoroughly on the top here. And then I'll let it dry, and then once it's dry, I'll let you know what it looks like. Okay, there we go. Now you can see it's a lot nicer and shinier. Obviously, it's not in perfect shape. I mean, there's like scratches and stuff on there that you just can't do anything about scratches, unfortunately. But it is looking a lot better, as you can see. There's marks on the back are all gone. It's nice and shiny. It's cleaner. The inside is definitely cleaner. But does it still work? I don't know. Does the power button thing work perfectly? I don't know. So let's go ahead and find that out. Alright, I have it all set up here. As you can see, looks pretty good. I actually have it hooked up to this littler TV because this TV is a little bit more RF friendly, so what the hell, let's go with that. Unfortunately, this thing's only output is RF, which I would consider a huge train wreck of a mistake. But, whatever, it's not 1986 anymore. So, let's see if it works. We're going to take pole position 2. Like I said, the only Atari 7800 game I actually own, at least at this point. Pop it in, and it seems to go in. Unfortunately, there's no, clicking system. That's a critique I would have of this system. It's hard to tell when the cartridge is actually in all the way. But, whatever. The other critique would be this retarded controller. But anyway, so we go ahead, push the power button. Okay, well, worked on the first try. And screen seems good. Okay, it's definitely reading the game. And, there you go. This is just an idea of what it looks like. I can't possibly play this with one hand. Okay. Holding the button. Yeah, I have to hold this button and then do this. And even with two hands, this controller is retarded. So, yeah. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, it works, and the button seems to be working perfectly now. I know you never got to see it before when it wasn't working perfectly, but trust me, that seems to be working a lot better. So, yeah, there you go. That's cleaning up an Atari 7800. I hope you learned something. If you actually have an Atari 7800, and either it's not working or it's dirty, this should help you out. Thanks for watching, everybody.